Alright, so this is how I stack my light frames shot over multiple nights in Sirilic. So the first thing you might want to do is go to Preferences and set your work directory and set the executable of serial. Use these settings. I do recommend using a 32-bit mode and don't use compression. And also don't save in a 16-bit TIFF format. Leave all these settings and press OK. You might want to edit the global properties of the project. Use multi-sessions. Don't use intermediate stacking. Use equalize CFA for color images. Don't use fast normalization and use identical parameters for all layers. If you have master, bias and darks, you can set them here. And now let's start a new project. Go to File, New, enter the name of the object. I have Messier 106. I use the S as my session base name identifier, and I have 2 nights. I don't have mono. I shot them with my ZWO ASI 183 MC Pro, so it's a one-shot color camera, and press OK. You can already see it selected the master bias and the master dark. But in this case I don't need my master biases because I already got a pre-processed master flat frame I used in an earlier session. So on the left side are your sessions. And they are already populated with offsets and darks. And at the bottom is the working directory layout, and it shows how many files are in that session. So we are going to add the files now. I don't need my bias because my master flat is already calibrated. And I add the light frames from that first session. And now the same for session 2. Remove the bias and add the flat frame, the master flat. Now everything is loaded, and you can see what the process is doing now. If you don't have your master frames yet, you can add them via the files. Add all your bias frames, dark frames and flat frames. And then you would want to go to the properties. Use these settings for stacking your master bias. also use these settings for your master dark frame and use these settings for your master flat frame, but do use the biases subtract option. So now let's go to the settings of the light frames. I am going to use RGB equalization because I have a one-shot color camera and I'm not using any filters because I don't want anything rejected. I know all my light frames are good. You can press the more properties button to set additional properties, but I'm not going to use them for this moment. It uses default serial value for the registering, and that is homography, but if you leave it blank it's going to use it anyway. So when all sessions are populated with the files, you can go to Actions, press step 1, and it's going to make all the directories and symbolic links. And once it finishes, you can go to step 2 and it's going to stack all your images.